Howdy, folks. Today I want to talk about a really interesting subject it's been on my mind for a while, and it's one of the things that I rate highly. I put a huge emphasis on in my headphone ratings. Okay, so that's 3D staging, which is kind of like the depth of the soundscape that you hear in IEMs. So I ran across this, which is this guy's talking about rtings.com, which they do ratings of all kinds of various stuff. And they've got this, I guess they figured out some way to measure relative soundstage depth and three-dimensionality in over-the-head headphones. And if we read this, it's really interesting. It says that the main factor is the PRTF, pin-related transfer function. That's just like pin gain, as we call it in the IEM hobby, shown on the chart, which is created by phase cancellations at 10K in the concha between the driver and the ear. Okay, so let's dissect that. So apparently, an over-the-head headphone, as you stick on your ear, the concha and the driver, whatever's in the middle of that, is going to create, like, it's basically the outer ear, parts of that, create a cancellation right at 10K, like a dip, like a notch. And so they were talking about how you could measure that. And so they're talking about, what is this? The HD800S. It's got this big notch right here. And it has a larger soundstage than, I guess, this one they're talking about, the HE400i headphone. So I just got to thinking to myself, well, all right, so the IEM is definitely inside your ear, right? So there's not going to be a natural cancellation in something that you could measure. But what if that was inbuilt into tunings in IEMs? So in other words, like a notch right around 10K in the actual tuning that helps produce a depth and a more vivid three-dimensional soundscape. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Let's see if we could take this theory and apply it to some IEMs that I know I've heard, and I know people have have heard me yap and talk about. So let's go to this. So we have the Shure EJ07. And so it says, okay, so the average of the pin gain, which from 2K to 7K is what they're calling that. So I just kind of eyeballed this, and I'm like, well, there's this big hump. Then we go down right here, 2K. Let's weight it a little bit on this side. So maybe somewhere around here. Now, obviously, eyeballing this ain't good enough, but it gets us into a ballpark of what we might be talking about. Okay, so then we come and we go to the lowest peak of the 10K notch. And according to the formula, they say you just subtract the 2. And if the number is over 18, then you're going to hear a relatively good 3D depth and soundstage. So EJ07, I find it to be the best 3D headphone I've ever heard. We take the, 66 roughly maybe, and then the 9 to 12K notch, which I kind of averaged out because this is like, also 711 couplers are not accurate, but they obviously pick something up there. So, we're just going to call it like good enough, hopefully. So I just kind of took an average of these two, and then we're at like 46. So in theory, it could be better or worse, I guess, a little bit. But if we subtract the 2, we get a value of 20. And 20 is way above 18, and so that's the greater than 18 provides you a very excellent amount of 3D in a headphone. And I was thinking maybe that applies to in-ears, and maybe it does. So let's continue on. Soft Ears RSV, which I do consider to have friggin' amazing 3D. So pin gain, PTRF average, 67, 12K notch, 47. This equals 20. So it's basically just about as good as the EJ as far as those numbers go. And in fact, it sounds as good as the EJ just about in terms of 3D, pretty much. So amazing. All right, cool. Then I thought, well, let's try something I know that I consider to be a flat sounding headphone. And that's actually why I sold it. And that's the Theaudio Voyager 14. So then it's got a little bit of a wackier graph. I tried to, do the average 2K to 7K over here, weighted a little bit for the dip here and then the bump here. And then we got our notch here. Again, I tried to sort of take an average, a better average anyways, or more of a distinct one. And so we end up with a PTRF average 65 minus 52, we come out to 13. And 13 is way less than 18. And in fact, so that follows the rule, right? Less than 18. not great 3D. And then, so a couple other people were talking about stuff, and it's like, so we wanted to try the oxygen. I'm just pulling this up because like, I don't want to have to do this another way, but right, same thing, 68 PTRF. Then we got like the dippy dip at between 9 and 12K. So what is that, 50? So that gives us 17 to 18. And in fact, I do think the oxygen is a little more in your face than the EJ07 or the RSV. But I find it pretty nice and not bad at all. So we're at 17 to 18, so like right on the edge of what they consider excellent holographic 3D. Cool. Let's move on. So I figured we'd try the timeless since it's got like a little bit of shall we say, drama going on about its staging. Some people say it's 3D, some people say it's flat left to right, blah, blah, blah. So I pulled up Crin's graph, and immediately the thing that sticks out to me is like, how the heck? That's either bad, I don't know what it is, but basically these left to right is not balanced well. So I thought, well, I'll try and take like an average, but, you know, like a better average, well, better in terms of how this could rate. Anyway, so we're at, what is it? Pin gain 67, notch at 53 gives us 14, which is lower than 18, and in the imbalance. So like if let's pretend that this was, 53 here, and then this actually was down here at 50, then we're, let's see, sorry. I'm sorry, what did I say? 67, and then we go down to 50, so we're near 17. So that's actually, according to the quote-unquote formula, that's much better in 3D. So this is an interesting set. Maybe that's why some folks have good 3D, maybe not. I don't know. Guessing, but interesting. So let's move on to, I have tried Trio, crunched the numbers. Oh, sorry. This is a Forte. Somebody asked me about Forte. So I ran the numbers, and it turned into 13. Less than 8, so that's interesting. I haven't heard it, but I did say I wanted to try Trio because I have heard that, and I thought it was reasonably good 3D. We ended up with a 17, roughly, so that, you know, slightly under 18, but pretty damn good. So interesting. It does actually seem like it follows this a little bit. Okay, so here's the Trolley, Aurelius Trolley, whatever they say that. So this one comes out to a 10, so I haven't heard it, and I have no idea. So that's interesting. And then we got down to U12T, which comes out to like a 19, I think. Yeah, so that's pretty good. And in fact, I think I rated it pretty good 3D. Yeah. And Tanya, I rate excellent 3D. We're at a 20, which is like basically similar to an EJ. Fantastic. It has amazing 3D. So that, again, follows the formula, at least for what I've heard. Moving on, Mest version 1. So that, you know, Mest is this weird oddball thing. But anyway, on that one, we ended up with an 8. And so I talked to a couple folks, and yeah, most people don't hear it as being holographic 3D. They hear it as being very interesting staging, but rather flat, shall we say. But within that flat staging, the instruments appear nice and like thick, organic 3D instruments, but in a flat amount of staging. Whereas you could say some staging is flat left to right, and instruments are literally in 2D, and they're not as fleshed out, say, as the Mest can be. I don't know if that explains it. Anyway, moving on. Is there anything else that matters? Somebody asked about the FD7, Fiofd7, said, oh, they had heard it, said it was excellent 3D. It came out to like about an 18, so seems to follow the rule. And yeah, this guy says, I haven't even read this. Nice Heck AEP 10, $9. If we took an average 2 to 7K, we'd maybe end up at 90, and then we're down here at like, holy smokes, 60 something. So that is amazing and very interesting. Okay, so I wanted to bring that up, and something to keep in your mind for folks that haven't heard a headphone. If you think you might want some good 3D staging and stuff like that, then maybe this is a way to look at graphs and understand that. I don't know for sure, because the thing is, we need to find some headphones that, hopefully don't break the rule, but they prove the rule in the other aspect, which is that they're flat left to right. And I haven't heard very many of them. The ones I have heard, I sold so fast that, that. Okay, great. Have a great day, folks, and I'll talk to you on the next one.